I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching India Today Global. Now, India and the European Union signed the mother of all deals. This is a historic moment for India as this deal has been finalized after 18 years. This also gives a major boost to several sectors of India as they struggle to overcome the tariffs imposed by the United States of America for doing business with Russia. It also gives India opportunity to set its footprints beyond the United States as a major market. In an exclusive conversation with me, Kaja Kallas, European Union's Vice President and High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, spoke of what this deal could mean for India and the 27-member European bloc. Let's listen in. It's being called mother of all the deals. The India-EU Free Trade Agreement has been successfully concluded, but what happens next? To discuss this and more, I'm being joined in this India Today Global exclusive. I'm being joined by Kaja Kallas, who is the High Representative for Foreign and Security Policy, as also Vice President of the European Commission. Let's begin with, when will the tariffs or the trade deal be implemented?
Well, of course, it takes a bit of time because we are both democracies, and in democracies, there are procedures also that these deals need to go through. But we still hope that it goes fast because it's beneficial for both parties.
Okay. But a lot of them are talking about the timing. After a lot of strain in ties between India and the European Union, we're now seeing a big breakthrough. Is the weaponization of tariffs by Trump the reason why we saw a faster pace with which the deal has been concluded?
Well, the geopolitical landscape definitely helps with this. It is clear that we have had our, big partners before, but now the landscape is such that we need to build partnerships with those countries, those partners who believe in free trade, and definitely diversifying our trade portfolio on your side as well as our side is our mutual interest.
Interestingly, the president herself announced it at Davos, and there was a sharp reaction from the United States of America. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, has already said that Europe is funding indirectly the Russia-Ukraine war. Your comments?
Well, of course, countries like America don't like if we are also diversifying our trade portfolios. That's very clear. But again, we are focusing on the positive side. What more can we do in terms of trade in different areas? Of course, it's in our interest that this war in Ukraine stops, and therefore we have put sanctions on Russian shadow fleet, on different types, so that this war will end. And this doesn't change. I mean, we also had these discussions with the Indian counterparts because it's in our mutual interest that this war will stop.
Well, talking about reliable partners and reliability, you once said that Russia is not reliable. One cannot trust Russia. But then can you trust your all-time friend or one's all-time friend, America? Greenland is an example. What happens next? Whether it's Greenland and the conversations NATO chief had with Trump, is EU in on that? What's the deal here?
Well, the geopolitical landscape is definitely complicated. I think, the discussions that we had over Greenland were not doing any favors to transatlantic ties. I can tell you that that is very, very clear. But now we are focusing on issues where we can build partnerships outside with different countries, also with America, to develop the ties further where we see eye to eye.
Is Europe more vulnerable than ever before, whether it's the eastern flank with Russia or, for that matter, now including America?
I think no, because actually we were vulnerable before when we didn't really realize that we have dependencies on countries like Russia when it comes to energy, on different countries, also China when it comes to technology. Now we have definitely understood where we are and understood our vulnerabilities, and therefore we are making the efforts to overcome these vulnerabilities, to invest more in our defense, to get rid of the Russian gas and oil, diversify our trade portfolios, but also build our defense and security partnerships with countries like India.
Ms. Kallas, the European Union acknowledged terrorism, Pahalgam terror attack, the Red Fort terror incident, but is there also an acknowledgement that for India this concern is deep-rooted and is cross-border?
We had discussions on fighting terrorism, and that this is something that we both share, that this is a global concern and we need to address this globally together with our partners.
And there are many concerns that now are challenging the world, particularly when it comes to conflicts. There has been massive outrage when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine war. We see much less of it from the European world when it comes to Israel-Palestine.
This is not true. I don't know why this information is circulating, but if you look at who is the biggest donor for the Palestinians, it is Europe. We have, contributed in humanitarian aid. We have been the biggest supporters of two-state solution. We are also the biggest supporters of Palestinian Authority to really insist that the Palestinians have a say on their territory. Right now, we are working in this Gaza peace plan to also provide help when it comes to training Palestinian police, because eventually it has to be Palestinian police who disarms Hamas and takes control over the territory. So we have been very much involved in ending this war and also ending this humanitarian catastrophe.
And being part of the Board of Peace?
Well, the Board of Peace eventually in the United Nations Security Council resolution was meant to be for Gaza and was meant to be limited in time until 2027. Also really showing the role for the Palestinians in it. Now, the Charter for the Board of Peace, what we see right now, is much broader than that. What we want to see is to be limited to Gaza, like the United Nations Security Council resolution, and then, of course, we are willing to work with all the institutions. Board of Peace, the International Stabilization Force, all these things to make peace in Middle East sustainable.
My final question to you, and I circle back to President Trump. Has he brought in a lot of volatility and unpredictability, and how is the European Union going to counter or tackle that?
Unpredictability is clearly the word of the day. I think for the last year, what we have learned is that we have to expect a lot of unpredictability. But to counter that word, actually, for us, the European Union is predictability. That has been our weakness. I mean, we have often been the boring and very predictable, stable partner, but if I go around the world, this is actually becoming our strength. Countries like India, like other countries are looking at us because we are the stable partner. If we come to agreement, it may take time, that's true, but when we come to agreement, we stick to those agreements and keep our promises.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us here on India Today Global. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
As India emerges as a strong global player and expands itself, the India-EU deal is being seen as a significant step. The world and the United States of America watches closely as India opens its markets to Europe. Let's see what are the takeaways from the EU-India trade deal.
India and the European Union announced the conclusion of the historic mother of all deals amid a change in world order and US's tariffs pressure tactics. It comes after 18 years of wait and at a time when Europe faces uncertainty with its ally, the United States of America. The European Union, comprising of 27 nations, have sealed the deal on a day which coincides with the date of the month, January 27.
फ्रेंड्स, आज भारत ने अपने इतिहास का अब तक का सबसे बड़ा फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न किया है। आज 27 तारीख है। ये सुखद संयोग है कि आज ही के दिन यूरोपियन यूनियन के 27 देशों के साथ भारत ये FTA कर रहा है। यह एक ऐतिहासिक समझौता हमारे किसानों, हमारे छोटे उद्योगों, इसके यूरोपियन मार्केट तक पहुंच आसान बनाएगा, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में नए अवसर पैदा करेगा और हमारे सर्विसेज सेक्टर के बीच सहयोग को और प्रबल करेगा।
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen celebrated the deal by saying, "We did it." Von der Leyen said the deal was an answer that cooperation can be the answer to global challenges. US President Donald Trump had threatened European nations backing Greenland with 10% tariff, which he later withdrew. India is already reeling under tariff pressure from the US for purchasing Russian oil. The top aides in the Trump administration have time and again projected tariffs on India as the perfect example for nations who don't bow down to the US.
We did it. We delivered the mother of all deals. We are creating a market of 2 billion people. And this is the tale of two giants, the world's second and fourth largest economies. Two giants who choose partnership in a true win-win fashion. A strong message that cooperation is the best answer to global challenges.
The FTA, which have to be ratified by the European Parliament before it comes into force, promises slashing of tariffs in a vast market, which will also enable mobility and deliver security to people in an increasingly insecure world. The major takeaways of the India-EU deal includes European cars like Mercedes, BMW and Audi have an import duty of over 100%. As per the deal, cars costing more than 15,000 euros, that is around 16 lakh rupees, will have a duty of 40%. Wines imported from France, Italy and Spain will now cost cheaper. India charges import duty of 150% on wine, which will be reduced to 20%. This will happen gradually over 5 to 10 years to avoid any impact on domestic products. The deal will make cognac, premium gins and vodkas cheaper in India. Imported medicines for cancer and other critical illnesses will become cheaper in India. It will also reduce the prices of medical equipment imported from Europe. It will also end tariffs on spare parts of aircraft, mobile phones and high-tech electronic items imported from Europe, reducing the manufacturing cost of gadgets in India. A proposal for zero tariffs on iron, steel and chemical products is also included in the deal. This would reduce raw material prices in the construction and industrial sectors, benefiting home buyers. Besides, India-EU looks forward to cooperation in defense, maritime, cyber and space security and counter-terrorism. Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
And here are some other stories from across the world in World at a Glance.
Gregory Bovino has been removed from his role as the commander-at-large for the US Border Patrol and will return to his former job in California, where he is expected to retire soon. The US DHS, Customs and Border Protection and the White House did not immediately respond to requests for comment. President Donald Trump and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz each struck a conciliatory tone after a private phone call about immigration enforcement, a sign the two sides were seeking a way to end their standoff over a deportation drive that has claimed the lives of two US citizens in Minneapolis. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said he and the US President Trump had agreed upon two work streams to diffuse the tensions between the US and the EU on the semi-autonomous territory, one being NATO's responsibility. The second work stream, in which NATO can have no part according to Rutte, were about the US, Denmark and Greenland continuing discussions. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte insisted that Europe is incapable of defending itself without US military support and would have to more than double current military spending targets to be able to do so. The 32-nation military organization is bound together by a mutual defense clause, Article 5 of NATO's founding Washington Treaty, which commits every country to come to the defense of an ally whose territory is under threat. chairman of China's National People's Congress Standing Committee, met the Finnish Prime Minister in Beijing. Zhao said that Finland is one of the first Western countries to recognize and establish diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China, noting the two sides have always maintained friendly relations based on mutual respect and trust. During the talks in October 2024, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Finnish President Alexander Stubb reached important consensus on deepening the future-oriented new type cooperative partnership between the two countries. Major political parties held rallies across Japan to mark the beginning of a short campaigning period ahead of the upcoming February 8 snap election. Japan's Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi dissolved the lower house of parliament on Friday, paving the way for a national election as she seeks to capitalize on her strong public approval ratings. Speaking to a few dozen supporters from a secured campaign van parked in an empty taxi stand in central Tokyo, Takaichi made firm pledges to defend Japan's territorial integrity and improve the economic standing of its citizens. Meta platforms TikTok and YouTube will face courtroom scrutiny in the US over allegations that their platforms are fueling a youth mental health crisis as jury selection in a trial against them begins. The trial in California Superior Court, Los Angeles County, is a test case for thousands of other lawsuits seeking damages for social media harm in a legal onslaught that could erode big tech's long-standing legal defense. The plaintiff is a 19-year-old woman from California who says she became addicted to the company's platforms at a young age because of their attention-grabbing design, according to court filings. A devastating case of subsidence in Nisemi, Sicily, provoked by Cyclone Harry and days of heavy rainfall, has left an entire neighborhood perilously teetering on the edge of a deep ravine and has forced the urgent evacuation of approximately 1,000 residents. Dramatic images of homes and buildings hanging precariously on the brink of falling have shocked Italy, all caused by the severe impact of the ongoing severe weather across southern regions.
That's all in this edition of India Today Global. But before I go, we leave you with visuals of a massive winter storm of snow across much of the United States of America, which has disrupted power supplies and air travel, prompting states of emergency across the country. Washington, D.C. was blanketed with over 20 centimeters of snow in nearly 20 hours of snowfall, with the U.S. capital likely to remain snowbound for a while as temperatures plunge to -10 degrees Celsius. That's goodbye and take care.